Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another 1908 game. And I'll tell you what, we think of teams like the Cardinals and the Cubs one way. Some of us, those of us who grew up in the 80s and 90s, will remember watching games in WGN. You got Harry Carey doing the broadcast. We remember the colors of the teams. We remember what Wrigley Field looked like. We remember sort of what the general atmosphere and attitude was. I'm going to tell you a secret, man. 1908 is a little bit different. It wasn't quite the same way back then, but the Cubs were still the Cubs, and they were actually the very, very good Cub team back in 1908. And the Cardinals, were not quite the same good Cardinal team. Now, I imagine that this was still a rivalry, but definitely wasn't quite as strong as it would later become. Patsy O'Rourke here will start this off for St. Louis, and he rolls a 56 for a 34. There is a little E roll, and here comes that little E roll, and it's a 52, which is out of the range. That's going to be a pop-up over to the shortstop. Tinker has that for the out, one away. It's going to be easier for you to see the dice rolls than it is for me because of the time that it is at night. Don't worry about looking at my face. You want to look over at the right side for the rolls. Red Murray up there now rolls a 42 for a 13. That's a strikeout. Two away as Orville overall gets his first strikeout. Cubs at 14-3. Cardinals 6-11. Here's Ed Kenichi rolls a 36 for a 33. That's a pop-up over to the second baseman. It's Evers has that for the out. We go to the bottom of the first. Here is Johnny Evers, and he rolls a 32 for a 26. That is a ground ball over to the second baseman. Gilbert makes the play and throws to first for the out. One away. Frank Chance is up there now. Chance rolls a 63 for a 31, fly ball over to center field, and that's going to be Shaw who has that for the out. Two gone. Here's Johnny Kling hitting a good 250, hitting third in the batting order. Probably won't be doing that for long once we get the lineups changed after the Sunday games come around. Kling rolls a 26 for a 27. That's going to be a ground ball over to the third baseman, Byrne, who has that ball for the out, throws over to first for the out, and we go to the top of the second. This, by the way, May 2nd, 1908 is the Saturday, so tomorrow is going to be May 3rd. That'll be the Sunday after that. We will update these lineups, which is kind of what my plan has been all along. My diabolical plan to change history. Go to the top of the second is Al Shaw. Shaw rolls a 54 for a 45. Little E roll comes up again, and here's the roll. It's a 63. It's going to be a fly ball over there to right field, and Schultz has that one for the out, one away. Bobby Byrne now comes up there. Bobby Byrne rolls a 56 for a 34. Here is a little E roll again. You're going to have to get used to a lot of these. If we were playing with, I don't know, like 1982 or something, you wouldn't have this many little E rolls. This time it's a 66, so it's out of the range. It's a pop-up over to Tinker, the shortstop, for the second out. Two gone. Bill Ludwig up there rolls a 51 for a 14. He will take first on the walk. Joe Delahanty up now with a runner on at first. No hits in this game yet, top of the second inning. Delahanty rolls a 54 for a 45. Fly ball over to center field. Slagle has that for the out. We go to the bottom of the second. Here is Jimmy Sheckard for the Cubs, and Sheckard rolls. I have to look up on the monitor. He rolls an 11 for a 0. Have to look up on that monitor, make sure my eyes don't play tricks on me. I'm starting to get a little old. Next is a 56 for a 6. He does have a chance to hit the home run because of Lush has this L rating, so the L will give the batter a very slight chance for a home run. I think that this range depends upon the year that you're in, if I recall correctly. Somebody in the comments who plays a lot more NP3 than me should comment about that. And if there's nobody like that, then you can just pretend that I know what I'm talking about. The first roll is a 14, as you can clearly see, which is within the range. And now it has to be... So the first roll, is the range for the pitcher, which is probably determined based on the number of home runs he's given up. It's also probably a computer-only thing. The second one is from the league. That's the one that we see, and that's the one I remember. And the second roll is a 56. So you got to go through a whole bunch of hoops to get that home run. Sheckard gets the double. Why do we do that, you ask? And the reason why is because that way you can realistically replay a season like 1908 without, with this sort of 36 outcome format. I mean, I know it's 36 times 2, and then you have all this other fancy stuff going on. This way we don't play Dungeons & Dragons with the 20-sided die. Actually, I shouldn't make that crack because I love Strat-O-Matic. Here's Jimmy Slagle. Slagle rolls a 43 for a 29. That's a ground ball back to Lush. Throws to first for the out, but Sheckard moves over to third. One away. Joe Tinker up there. The infield will come in, even though it's early. Tinker's going to swing away, of course. You'd be nuts to bunt with him. And he rolls a 26 for a 32. Fly ball over to right field. Sheckard, though, doesn't have that F, and so Murray makes the catch. Two on. Here's Harry Steinfeld. Steinfeld up there will roll a 46. 46 the roll, and it's a 29. Ground ball back to the pitcher, Lush, who makes the play, throws to first for the out. We go to the top of the third. Good job by St. Louis keeping the world champions at bay. And here is Billy Gilbert to lead things off. Rolls a 56 for 34. There's a little E-roll again. It's a 16 within the range. That's going to be an error on the second baseman, Evers, and Gilbert is on at first, bringing up Johnny Lush. Now it is time to bunt. Bunt o'clock, but I don't know about this. He's hitting 440, 455. I mean, am I nuts to do this? I'm going to take the bunt off. Let him hit. He rolls a 34. Should have hit and run with the S. Yeah. Anyway, Chinese, they say Xiangda Mei. That's what my wife always tells me. We speak Chinese together, right? Which is like, in your dreams, basically. There's a fly ball over to Slagle in center for the out, and he makes the first out. And one away. Here's Patsy O'Rourke. Patsy rolls 26 for 27. That's going to be a ground ball over to, it's a strikeout. I'm sorry. There's an X there, so 2 gone. Second strikeout for Orville, and here's Red Murray. Rolls a 46 for 27. That's another strikeout. 3 there for Orville. We go to the bottom of the third, and it's Wildfire Schultz. Schultz comes up there, rolls a 46 for 27. Ground ball over to third base. It's going to be Byrne, who makes the play and throws to first for the out. 1 gone. Orville overall, who's hitting 333, rolls a 15. That'll be a base hit. Base hit to center field. He gets another hit. That'll bring up Johnny Evers. Overall slow, so we're not going to do anything fancy with him. Evers hitting 343, 457 on base percentage, 418 slugging percentage. Got to be in the running right now for MVP. Of course, it's 1908. There is no MVP. Evers rolls a 42 for a 14. Takes the ball. 1 ball on him. Next one is a 13. Sorry, I had to look close. Ball 2. Isn't this fun? He's never going to get to 4 of those. Next one's a 12. See, that's what's going to happen. Ground ball over to O'Rourke at second. Makes the flip over to Gilbert for 1. On to first for the double play. We go to the top of the 4th. No score in this one. Ed Kenichi is up there. Ed rolls a 33 for a 0, and we got double column action. Next rolls a 24 for a 7. That's a single to right. I tell you, this is going to show what kind of a player I am of these games. Every time I see that double column come up, my eyes start to get stars in them, and I start thinking, oh, man, here we go. And, it's just like I was a kid again, right? I feel like I'm 10 years old again playing this game. And then I realize I'm playing with 1908 and that, a good percentage of these results are singles, and there's a good example of that. So, that's on me for playing with a season like 1908. You just got to get used to it. I mean, I know it's realistic. I know that's what it's based off of. But, I mean, it's APBA, right? It's National Pastime. It's NP3. It's all the same, right? You get that double column and you're thinking, here's money, baby, and you get a single. I don't know, man. It's like you won the scratch off. You got $5. That's what it feels like. Here is Al Shaw rolls a 13 for a 14, and that's going to be a walk. Now remember, overall doesn't have any Z's anywhere, so he gives up his second walk of this game. It'll be Bobby Byrne up there now, hitting a 194 so far this season. So this is where we're getting to the point where we got to change these lineups around, because what are we doing hitting this guy 5th? He's going to bunt, of course, because I mean, you're hitting 194, man. It's the Kmart special is what it's like. Bobby Byrne, your Kmart special third baseman, and he rolls a 25 for a 9. I don't care if that is a base hit against overall. I mean, that's a ridiculous roll. You should have like a 6 or something there. That ends up being a bunt over the left side, and Steinfeld has that one. Throws over to Evers, covering over at first on the rotation play. 1 out as the runners move up, and here's Bill Ludwig. He's hitting 103, man. Last guy was the Kmart special. You're hitting 103 with a 103 slugging percentage. I mean, man, that's a free handout over at the Salvation Army. So Ludwig up there, they're going to bring the infield in. Kenichi's slow, which is why I'm not going to bum with him, because bad things will happen if you do that with a slow runner. I don't know. Maybe it's, there might not be any scientific merit to that. Ludwig rolls a 51 for a 14. He's hit by a pitch. Interesting facet of this. And so he will end up reaching first base. I'm looking at this bug crawling up on the window. I'll be honest. So we'll stop here for a second. It's real hot here in this area. I'm in the D.C. area, and we get the craziest bugs out here at night when it's like 85 degrees at like about 10 o'clock at night, which is right about what the time is. And I see a lot of things out here. I got a window right in front of me, and I don't want to go out. Runners base is loaded, rather. Joe Delahanty up there. No score. Infield comes in. Delahanty hitting 215, which is a little bit more normal. And here's that roll. And it's going to be a 13 for a 40, changed to 39. That's not going to be good for him. And runners out trying to steal home. Other ones advance 1 base. How about that for a rare play? And so that's a poor play by, I think it was Kenichi, who was over on third. All the other runners end up moving up. Delahanty's still up there, now 2 gone, and the infield moves back. And his roll is going to be a 23 for a 32. It's a fly ball over to right field, and it's going to be Schultz who has that for the out. We go to the bottom of the 4th. Frank Chance comes up there now. Bottom of the 4th inning, Frank Chance, and he's going to roll a 64 for a 22, change to 17. It's going to be an error on the, or single, I'm sorry, and then Murray. I'm going to say Eddie Murray. That's wrong. Red Murray ends up, I don't know, dropping the ball or making a bad throw. You come up with what you want. Frank Chance is on at second base, and that'll bring up Johnny Kling. So the Cubs still able to get runners on base. 14-3. There's a reason why you're 14-3. Here's Johnny Kling. Kling rolls a 13 for a 14, and he will take the walk because that Z don't protect you if first base is open. Jimmy Sheckard comes up there now. Sheckard hitting 258, 370 on-base percentage, and that nice 419 slugging percentage. Sheckard rolls a 23 for a 32. It's going to be a fly ball to Murray in right field. Murray doesn't have a great arm, and so Chance is able to advance to third. 1 gone. Here's Jimmy Slagle. Runners on at first and third. In comes the infield. Slagle will swing away, and he rolls a 13 for a 14. And even with that runner on first base, that Z doesn't protect you, as you can see, and that will load the bases. So bases are loaded now. In comes the infield for Joe Tinker. Tinker can really blow this game open here. Cardinals just had a bases loaded opportunity, couldn't make it work. Here, let's see if the Cubs can do it. And the roll's a 65 for a 35. Not what you want to see. That's going to be a pop-up over to the catcher Ludwig for the second out. That'll bring up Harry Steinfeld. I've mentioned this before, but, they always say Evers to Tinker to Evers to Chance, right, which is that famous poem from the New York Herald? One of those papers around 1909. I'm going to say the New York World, but no, the New York World wasn't quite the paper that it was. I think it may have been, if not the Herald, maybe the New York, I was going to say the Mail. I don't think that there was a paper called the New York Mail, but something like that. New York Tribune maybe, but I don't think it was that one. Anyway, I'll sit here and name off papers all day long. But, with that famous couplet, the question was always who played third. Nobody remembers that it's Harry Steinfeld. Steinfeld was actually a pretty good player, but Tinker to Evers to Chance ended up in the Hall of Fame. And there are questions about some of those guys, do they really belong or not? We'll talk about that another day. Steinfeld gets that kind of introduction, rolls a 21 for a 30. It's a fly ball over to Delahanty in left field, and we go to the top of the 5th, still no score. So I can make it entertaining, right? Here's Billy Gilbert coming up there. He rolls a 44 for an 8, and that's going to be a single for, that's going to be a ground ball over to the shortstop Tinker. Makes the play and throws to first for the out, 1 away. See, even I forget that pitchers have ratings in APBA/NP3. Here's Johnny Lush. Lush rolls a 12 for a 25. It's a strikeout, and there's 2 gone. Overall, with his 4th strikeout, here's Patsy O'Rourke, and he rolls a 61 for a 27. That's strikeout number 5 for overall. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning, and it's Wildfire Schultz up there. Wildfire comes up there now, 0-0 ball game, tight ball game, big scoring opportunities for both teams, and they have 1908'd their way out of it. Here's Schultz. Rolls a 31 for a 9. That's going to be a pop-up over to Byrne, the third baseman for the first out. 1 away. Here's overall. Rolls a 62 for a 12, and there's a little E-roll. And the roll is a 25, just out of that range. That's going to be a little ground ball over to the first baseman, Konecny. There he is, and he grabs it and goes to the bag for the out. 2 away. Here's Johnny Evers. Evers rolls a 35 for a 9. That's going to be a pop-up again to Byrne, and we go to the top of the 6th. There's a real classic for you. Only 4 hits in this ball game, 1 error by each team. 4 men left on base by each team, and the Cardinals looking pretty good as they're trying to stay up there with the Cubs. 0-0 ball game. Murray rolls a 53 for a 15, changed to 20. That's going to be an error on the second baseman Evers, and 2 errors now on the Cubs. They'll bring up Ed Konecny. Konecny hitting 294. Murray, does he have any speed is the question. Yes, there is that 11. I always ask this. I'm looking for these 11s. The reason why is because if he rolls a 14 and there's no 11 on this card, Murray is caught stealing on what should have been a walk. The worry always, though, is if he hits one of these 13s, right? So, I mean, it's a dice game, right? There's a gamble. There's always going to be a gamble here, right? You got to take the gamble sometimes. I would say that with dead ball era seasons, you want to do more of the hitting and running, not less. Konecny takes the gamble. And the roll is a 32 for a 26. This is where it's a good thing to run the hit and run. You get out of the double play. I don't know if the Cubs would have pulled it off or not, but this way Murray ends up being on second base. As we see, there's a ground ball over to Evers, and he throws to first for the out, 1 away. And here's Albert Shaw, and the potential go-ahead run is perched on at second base. Shaw hitting 157 now, 0 for 1 today. He's going to bunt. And it's a 43 for a 29, which is a strikeout. That's the worst outcome you can get for you when you bunt. 13 would be a better outcome. 2 gone, and here's Bobby Byrne. And that 29, if we didn't bunt, would have sent Murray to third, by the way. Byrne rolls a 41 for a 28. That's a ground ball over to Tinker at short. Makes the play and throws over to first for the out. We go to the bottom of the 6th, and it's Frank Chance up there. Chance having a Frank Chance season. You look through Frank Chance, by the way. I've talked about this before. You look through Frank Chance. After you get past his time as a catcher, 1901, 1900, 1901, and part of 1902, Chance looks like an excellent, excellent hitter. Once he started going over to first base, once he was away from all of those, foul tips and stuff and could practice a little bit more on his hitting, he found who he was, right? I know that we talk about, the fielding continuum. We talk about stuff like, which fielders, which position's worth how many runs in WAR and all this other stuff that people, I say they just came up with, right? I don't really trust the stats that much. Frank Chance, though, is a good example of how if you go away from a really, really demanding position and go to one that's not so demanding, you have more time to work on your swing, and it got him to the Hall of Fame. Chance ends up rolling a 22 for a 7. There's that Hall of Fame base hit, and he's the runner on at first for Johnny Kling, and Chance, of course, going to run here. Kling will roll a 43 for a 29. A little comebacker over to Johnny Lush, makes the play, throws to first for the out. 1 gone, and it is Jimmy Sheckard up there now. Sheckard, the left fielder, and his roll is a 43 for a 29. That's another comebacker over to Lush. He throws, that's a ground ball over to Kenichi, who flips over to Lush, covering it first for the out. You can see the one was 1-3. This one's 3-1. 2 gone. Jimmy Slagle up there, and runner on a third. And he rolls a 41 for a 28. So there's a ground ball over to the shortstop. O'Rourke has it, throws to first for the out. We go to the top of the 7th. Kind of hard to, we even talk about, how the cards are designed and stuff like that. Kind of hard to get base hits when you're getting rolls like this. Bill Ludwig now, and he rolls a 36 for a 33. Hard to get a base hit from that. There's a little E roll, though. And it's a 12, and that's going to be within the range. That ends up being yet another error on Evers. Is that 2? That's 2, maybe even 3 errors on him. It's at least 2. Ludwig, now the runner on at first, the catcher, so he's not going to have that 11. Joe Delahanty comes up there hitting 212. I think this is my complaint, right? I can't look and see what Gilbert's hitting. I want to see what he's hitting in the replay, because if Gilbert is hitting really low, which I think he is, I'm not going to bunt with Delahanty, but in this situation, we probably should be bunting anyway. So we do bunt, and the roll is a 13 for a 40. That's a good bunt over to the right side. Is Chance, who has it, one has to flip over to Evers covering the bag. Ludwig moves up to second, and here comes Billy Gilbert. Yeah, Gilbert hitting 107. So we bunted to get to the guy hitting 107, and then the pitcher's after him. So that's a genius move on my part. But we kind of buff up our bunt statistics for those of you keeping track of that. Gilbert with the roll, and it's a 56 for a 34. That's going to be a pop-up over to the second baseman. Evers has that for the out. 2 gone. Johnny Lush up there now. Lush hitting 385, so maybe he gets the base hit here. Who knows? And now it's a 21 for a 30. It's a fly ball over to left field, and it'll be Sheckard who grabs that one for the out. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Joe Tinker comes up there now. Now's the time to pay attention. Tinker rolls a 61 for a 27. That's a ground ball over to third base. Byrne has that for the out. Throws to first. 1 away. Here is Harry Steinfeld. 21 for a 30. It's a fly ball over to left field. Delahanty has that one for the out. 2 gone, and it's Wildfire Schultz. Schultz up there now rolls a 46 for a 27, and that's going to be another ground ball over to the third baseman, Byrne. Makes the play and throws to first for the out. Top of the 8th now, and this is going to be one of these games I'm going to have to write about because it's going to be a late action heroes. And O'Rourke with the roll of 12 for a 24, and the little E roll is going to be changed to 19. 24, by the way, does not have that X for a strikeout. You know this stuff. After you play this game a lot, you end up learning it. 36 is the roll. It's out of the range, and that's going to be a ground ball over to Tinker. Tinker makes the play, throws to first for the out, 1 away. Cardinals only with a single hit in this game were the benefactors of 3 errors and 2 walks and haven't been able to do anything with it. 6 strikeouts also for Orville. Murray rolls a 45 for a 14, so make that 3 walks. And he is the runner on at first base. And here's Ed Kenichi. Murray, as we recall, is fast enough for hitting and running, and that's exactly what we're going to do in this situation. And let's see what happens. The dice dance down, and the roll is a 56 for a 32. It's a fly ball over to right field. Schultz has that for the out, 2 away. And it's Al Shaw. Al Shaw, very, very disappointing. Real life had a 309 on-base percentage here, 208 one. 101 points off. Well, yeah, go ask Bill about that one. Shaw rolls a 41 for a 28. That's a ground ball over to Tinker. Flips over to Evers for the force out. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Orville overall up there now, 0-0 ball game. Overall rolls a 33 for an 8. That's going to be a single for it, but the little E strikes again. And I'm going to let the guys steal in a game like this, of course. Hit number 5 for the Cubs, but Orville gets himself thrown out trying to steal second. One gone. Johnny Evers up there now. And Evers with a roll of 52 for a 27. That's a ground ball over to Byrne. Byrne makes the play and throws the first for the out, 2 away. Lush with 0 strikeouts in this game, right? Today, man, he would be chased down to single A. Frank Chance up there. And Chance rolls a 32 for a 26, and that's a ground ball over to the second baseman. Gilbert makes the play and throws the first for the out. Top of the 9th inning, Bobby Byrne, 0 for 2 today, hitting 190 with, and it's a quiet 190. Hitting a quiet 190, man. Wonder what Joe Garagiola would say about that. And he rolls a 45 for a 14, and he takes a walk. That's walk number 4 given up by Overall. Can he run? He can run. He has the S, but he can run, so we're going to let him run, I think. Or do we bunt? We probably bunt with Ludwig because I think the chances of Ludwig getting a base hit are about the same as the chances of me winning the lottery. Ludwig rolls a 32 for a 26. Good for the bunt, and that's a bunt over the right side. Chance makes the play and flips over to the second baseman. Evers covering the bag for the out, 1 away. Brings up Joe Delahanty. Delahanty hitting a little bit more respectable in terms of numbers. We remember from last time we don't want to bunt with Delahanty because Gilbert will not get ahead. Delahanty hopes to be the second hit of the ball game because if Delahanty can get a hit, that will make this a 1-0 game. Cardinals can win. Rolls a 45 for a 14, and that's going to be a walk. And overall, having a lot of problems here with his control. He's given up 5 walks here in this game. He doesn't have the W. Remember, the W rating is the one that will give you the additional walks in APBA and in Skeetersoft. And there's one of these, ratings that I keep telling you I'm going to talk about it in the blog. I'm going to get to this. I'm going to get to that. Dude, we're so far away from getting to this stuff. My Skeetersoft replay will be done by the time we get to it. But the W is something that is up there so that you're giving a higher index of walks. We're going to bunt with Gilbert. Lush is a better hitter than Gilbert. So we're going to bunt with Gilbert, who doesn't have any power numbers. I'm not worried about this at all because he's not going to get ahead. And he rolls a 53 for a 20. Here we go. And that is, it's a bunt. So that the second baseman, who is Evers, has a high enough rating so that he doesn't drop this. It's a bunt over to the right side. Chance makes the play, throws over to first for the out, and over to Evers covering first, for the out. And there's 2 away. I think that was the right play for us, and that will bring up Johnny Lush, the pitcher. So Johnny Lush, with runners on at second and third base, has the chance to do something very positive. 5 walks for Overall and 6 strikeouts. Overall has 30 strikeouts this season, 13 walks. Minuscule 1.24 ERA. I don't care as much about ERA as his batted against average, which is 160. Good heavens. And the roll is a 22 for an A. That's going to be a base hit, and that's going to score 1. Second runner is an S, and he's going to be thrown out at the plate. But that is a big base hit. Johnny Lush ends up getting the base hit, the second hit of the ball game for the Cardinals, and he sends that potential game-winning run home. And we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. It's a 1-0 ball game, and here comes Johnny Kling. Johnny Kling up there now. I'm thankful for all of you who have joined me here for this late night for me edition. You're going to be seeing this one whenever it comes out. You might be watching this. You might be watching this 3 years from now. I don't know. Kling comes up there now, and he rolls a 62 for a 12. That is a ground ball over to Konieczny, the first baseman. Does it to the bag himself, 1 away, and here comes Jimmy Sheckard. Any given day, any team can beat any team in any league. Sheckard rolls a 13 for a 14, and he'll walk. And there's a runner on at first base now for Jimmy Slagle. Sheckard, how fast is he? Sheckard does have an 11, so we are going to play hit and run. Always a dangerous thing to do. I'm looking up and down here for 13s. He's got 2 of them. And the roll is a 32 for a 26. That's a good play. That's a hit and run ground ball over to second base. And Gilbert has the ball, throws over to first for the out, 2 away, and that'll bring up Joe Tinker. Tinker is potentially could potentially get the RBI here if he gets a base hit. Looking, though, so if you look at his card, you think you walk him, right? And you want to pitch instead to Steinfeld. Steinfeld, not quite the same card with the same amount of base hits. I mean, just doing a quick comparison of the 2. I know the Lush has the C, though, and so you're looking at this and seeing who has the more 9s, But, I mean, a 9 on 35 is a little bit better than the 39. What we care about are the other base hit numbers. But I think that we probably want to pitch to Tinker anyway, even though, I mean, the cards are similar when you're looking at the number of base hits, right? So I think we pitched to Tinker. We're not going to mess around with putting the winning run on base. That's a foolish thing to do. Bottom of the ninth inning, 2 outs, Sheckard on a second base. This is the crucial moment. And there's the roll, and it's a 24 for a 13. Johnny Lush gets this first strikeout of the ball game, and that will do it. And the Cardinals celebrate the big win. They beat the Cubs 1-0 here, and that will put a little bit of a damper into the Cubs' hopes and the Cubs' abilities. The Cubs will go down to a 14-4, and I'm going to show you here in a second what the standings look like. Here we go. We'll take a quick look. Cubs will go to 14-4, which means that they'll only have a 1.5 lead over the Pirates, and a 2-game lead over the Pirates, and 2.5 over. 2 over the Giants, 2.5 over the Pirates. There we go. And any sort of loss here makes it very, very difficult for the Cubs because these two teams are winning, as you can see. Pirates lost their last game, but we know how good that Pirates team is. This is going to be really, really tight here in the National League, at least going forward. I sure hope that you've enjoyed this one. This was a lot of fun to play, a lot of fun to broadcast. It's always fun to talk with you and to enjoy this hobby. I love talking about these games. I could do this all day long and all night long, and that's part of my weakness because I don't get sleep because of it. I'll talk with you again. Overall, takes his first loss of the season. Johnny Lush drives in the run, wins it himself, only 2 hits for the Cardinals. What a game this one was. This is an all-time classic. I will talk with you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.